What if the glittering world of New York high society was nothing more than a battlefield dressed in jewels and silk? What if the chandeliers, the carriages, the endless ballrooms were really hiding betrayals so vicious they could shatter entire families? That's exactly what Season 4 of The Gilded Age is preparing to unleash. And let me tell you, it's not just about gowns and gossip anymore. It's about ambition, betrayal, assassination, and one marriage that may never survive the weight of its own ambition. Think about it. Bertha Russell, the woman who clawed her way into the heart of New York's elite, finally tasted victory. She got her daughter into one of the most powerful families in the city. She stood under the chandeliers, finally recognized by the very people who once slammed their doors in her face. But here's the chilling truth: sometimes victory is more dangerous than defeat. Because when the applause fades and the music dies down, what's left? A broken marriage, a suspicious husband, and whispers that the queen of society may lose everything. Not because her rivals destroy her, but because her own choices did. I want to ask you something. Have you ever wanted something so badly that when you finally got it, it didn't taste the way you thought it would? That's Bertha right now. She's standing at the top of the world, and yet the man who built it all with her, George Russell, can barely look at her the same way. He doesn't see the loyal partner anymore. He sees a woman who sold their daughter's happiness for a piece of social validation. And the tragedy here, he might be right. But that's not even the darkest shadow looming over the Russells. Remember that shocking assassination attempt in Season 3? That wasn't some random act of violence. No, someone planned it. Someone tried to erase George Russell from the picture entirely. And heading into Season 4, the question isn't just who tried to kill him. It's how far George is willing to go to find out. Imagine it: the most powerful man in New York, obsessed with finding his would-be killer, spiraling into paranoia, dragging every relationship into the fire, including his fragile marriage. Let's pause for a second. If you're watching this and you're hooked already, because let's be honest, who wouldn't be? Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Because I promise you, every single twist in Season 4 is going to get darker, juicier, and more dangerous. And we'll be here breaking down every forbidden secret the show tries to hide. Now, let's go deeper. Because the real danger to Bertha Russell may not be a bullet or a rival businessman. It may be something far worse: another woman. Whispers suggest that George's loneliness, his disappointment in Bertha, might draw him into the orbit of someone bold, cunning, and unafraid to challenge Bertha's power. And if you've been paying attention, you already know who fans are pointing at. Mrs. Winterton. Yes, the same woman who slithered her way through Season 3, undermining Bertha at every opportunity, may now be circling closer to George. Can you imagine it? Bertha's social rival becoming her romantic rival. That isn't just scandal. It's humiliation. It's the one thing Bertha has never faced. And that's why it's so dangerous. Here's a question for you. Do you think George Russell is capable of betraying Bertha? Drop your answer in the comments, because I guarantee fans are going to be split on this one. On one hand, George has always been the loyal husband, the unshakable partner. But betrayal doesn't always come as a choice. Sometimes it comes as comfort. And with Bertha obsessed with power, Mrs. Winterton might just offer George the one thing he's missing: emotional connection. And while Bertha battles for her husband's heart, George is battling his own demons. His empire is slipping, his rivals are circling, and his pride has been wounded by the bullet that almost ended his life. He's not just fighting for business anymore. He's fighting to prove he's still untouchable. But here's the forbidden knowledge: no one in society dares to whisper George Russell is not untouchable. He's bleeding, and everyone smells it. Season 4 isn't about whether he'll recover. It's about whether the vultures will tear him apart before he can. But let's not forget, The Gilded Age isn't just about the Russells. The supporting characters are stepping into the fire too. Peggy Scott, finally finding happiness with Dr. Kirkland, is about to collide head-on with the brutal realities of class and race in 1880s New York. Dr. Kirkland's mother, the iron fist of tradition, will do everything she can to destroy their engagement. And Peggy, who has already lost so much, will be forced to decide whether love can survive society's cruelest judgment. This isn't just romance, it's war. And Peggy may have to fight harder than ever just to keep the life she deserves. And then there's Oscar Van Ruggen. Oh, Oscar. Every season he dances closer to disaster. And this time his alliance with Mrs. Winterton could finally be the trap that swallows him whole. Think about it. A man who has always been caught between desire and duty now binding himself to the most manipulative woman in the series. It's not ambition, it's suicide dressed as strategy. Will Oscar rise to power, or will Mrs. Winterton destroy him the moment he's no longer useful? That's the gamble of Season 4. Now, let me throw something wild your way. What if the assassination attempt on George Russell wasn't orchestrated by a rival tycoon or a political enemy at all? What if the answer lies closer to home? What if someone inside his circle, maybe even someone under his roof, wanted him gone? That's the kind of forbidden secret HBO loves to hide until the very last moment. And if that's true, Season 4 isn't just about betrayal. It's about survival in a house divided. But amidst all this chaos, there's one storyline that might shine as a bittersweet light: Marian and Larry Russell. Their reconciliation, their love, their potential wedding, it's the one stable thread in a world unraveling. But here's the catch. Stability in the Gilded Age never lasts. Which means their happiness might not just be a symbol of hope. It might be the setup for the most heartbreaking twist of all. So I'll leave you with this: when Season 4 arrives, will Bertha Russell protect her throne, or will she lose everything she fought for? Will George uncover his assassin, or will the truth destroy him first? And most importantly, can love survive in a world where every ballroom is a battlefield? I have my theories, but I want to hear yours. Tell me in the comments whose downfall are you predicting in Season 4, because trust me, no one is safe in this game. Imagine this for a moment: a ballroom filled with golden chandeliers, pearls glistening on every wrist, the air so thick with perfume and whispers that you could almost choke on the tension. Now picture Bertha Russell standing there, outwardly radiant, inwardly cracking. The Queen of New York society is suddenly the most vulnerable player in the room. But here's the forbidden truth no one dares to say out loud. Every victory Bertha has claimed has been bought with a piece of her soul. And in Season 4, the bill is finally coming due. But what makes this situation even more dangerous? It isn't the glitter. It isn't the rivals. It's the fact that Bertha's greatest enemy might not be Mrs. Winterton, or the Astors, or even her critics. It might be George Russell himself. And that's a question I have to ask you right now: what happens when the one person who was your anchor, your partner in every battle, suddenly starts doubting you? Tell me in the comments. If you were in Bertha's position, would you fight to win George back, or would you double down on power, even if it meant losing him forever? Let's peel back the layers. George Russell, the so-called Iron Titan of industry, is no longer untouchable. That assassination attempt, oh, don't think that was a throwaway cliffhanger. It was the kind of move that reshapes entire seasons. In fact, whispers suggest, and here's where the forbidden knowledge comes in, that the assassin wasn't a faceless rival. It may have been someone within the Russell circle itself. A family betrayal wrapped in velvet gloves. Just sit with that for a second. What if the bullet meant for George was arranged by someone who dined with him, toasted champagne in his house, maybe even carried his name? Now, I know some of you are already typing, "No way. That's too extreme, HBO wouldn't do it." But haven't we learned by now? This is the Gilded Age. Nothing is too extreme. And let's not forget, in Season 3, the writers already shattered expectations with that near-fatal strike. They won't backpedal. They'll double down. But let's loop back to Bertha, because her position is even more precarious than you think. Season 3 ended with her crowning achievement, securing her daughter's marriage into the most prestigious family in New York. On paper, she should have been unstoppable. But what was the hidden cost? The Russell marriage itself began to rot. George, the man who once backed every one of her schemes, started to wonder if his wife was trading their daughter's happiness for cold prestige. And if you ask me, that doubt is the real weapon. Not bullets, not gossip columns.